brothers and sisters who were blessed to hear him last week after his return from 41 days of rest. You heard Minister Farrakhan, as I talked to someone in Washington, say to me this morning, I heard a new spirit, a new drive in him. You know, I see that he's focusing in on something. Well, I would say, yes, he is. Brother Minister Farrakhan wants us to go forward and make progress. When he first started this work 7 years ago, it was a time of thinking about the work first. He didn't think long because he knew it was right and he had to do it. After thinking, he went to speaking the word. And he said to us that he has spent 7 years crisscrossing this country, speaking in nearly every major city, college campuses, different groups across America, laying the foundation of the word, the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. After speaking for 7 years, Minister Farrakhan said the next thing is action. There must be some action. We must now put our word into reality. So Minister Farrakhan has encouraged and pushed and said to the nation that we must go forward to produce now. There must be production across the nation. The base is the spiritual word. But yet and still, after the spiritual word is laid, then there's work that must be done. In the Christian Bible, it says faith without work is dead. And the Holy Quran says that man shall have nothing but what he strives for. And his striving shall soon be seen. Not seen after death, not seen only by his children later on, but his striving must be seen. And that word striving in the Holy Quran talks about work. There are many men and women who can preach a good word in America. And as Minister Farrakhan said, we have had preachers, now we need those who are willing to do the work. The question is, what is the work? We must look at the suffering masses of our people in America. And Minister Farrakhan said to us that we must remember the American Indians also, who have suffered equally as the black man. They would have been enslaved as we were enslaved, but they couldn't stand up under the slavery. Surely the white man will write and tell you that when he came here, he attempted to enslave the American Indians. But he found out that they died off in slavery under the heavy weight that he put on them. They couldn't survive. They caught diseases and so forth. But he found a man's back who was strong enough and who could survive it, and that was the black man. So they have suffered equally as we have suffered in America. So Minister Farrakhan said there must be an outreach program for our people. And as you reach out to bring people to a word, you must bring them to the institutions that speaks to the needs of the people in that hour. There are things that black people need in order to survive, in order to live a decent life, in order to be able to smile in the morning. You must, if you understand, produce those institutions for black people. This is the drive or the thrust of Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan right now across America. We must build those institutions in the black community. We must reach out and get our people wherever they are and bring them and make sure that they have the things that they need in order that we can survive as a people. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, and as I heard Minister Farrakhan say it on many occasions as he preached the word across this country, that there's two selves. There's a higher self and a lower self. We know about the lower self because in this world we have been taught to serve the lower self, but we have never had a real knowledge of our higher self. In order for us to be successful and go forward and do this work, we must have the ability to work with one another. But Minister Farrakhan would say to us, but if your mind is in the gutter, if you're walking and looking at the world at the level of an animal, walking down, but you got to stand up and look at the higher things in life. This is the only way that we will be able to work together as brothers and sisters. We must first see a need. And the need is that we pull our people from this low self-esteem that they have of themselves. They don't feel good about themselves. You got to lift that up. You got to talk about a higher self. Then you have to pull them and show that we must show that we have the ability to work with one another. Because unless we work with one another, we can never build those institutions that will speak to the needs of our people. So Brother Farrakhan took 7 years and he preached a word around this country. And as you saw him move around this country, he was always talking to our people about unity, number one, our ability to work with one another. And then he talked about our morals, that we must clean up our morals. Don't think it's an impossible mountain to climb. It's just that the man that we have been under in America has never taught us about the higher self. He always kept us geared to the lower self. But Minister Farrakhan said in order for us to work together in unity, there must be high morality among black people in America. We must respect one another. We must respect the property of each other. And once we begin to do that, then we can begin to work in unity with one another. We must look at those who are less fortunate than ourselves. Don't ever use the term, I got mine, by working hard. Maybe the other man doesn't know the route that you use. Maybe he's less fortunate than you. You have to make a way for him. You must look at what is happening among the youth in America today, the black youth in particular. Who's taking the time to give them the attention that they need in this hour? As I mentioned a few weeks ago on this broadcast, it's not only suicide among young whites, but a lot of young black children are committing suicide across this country today. What is it about a young black man or black woman that they would want to go and take their own life? It represents that there is no hope. There's no future that they can see. There's nothing to reach for, nothing to strive for. There's despair and they're looking down. We must cause them to look up. How can we do it? Minister Farrakhan said, when you begin to build, there's no greater feeling that a man or woman can have when they see the handiwork of their own hands. When they see a school going up that they suffered and sacrificed and worked to build. When they see industry in the black community that they work to build. When they see jobs that they produce for their own people, that is one of the greatest feeling that man or woman can have when they see the accomplishments of their own hand. So Minister Farrakhan said we must put our hands to this gospel plow. But it's not a gospel plow that leaves us with the word, but it's a gospel plow that sends us to the work. He said put hold to the gospel plow. And as you hold this gospel plow, don't look back and worry about what was there yesterday. Close the door on all of that yesterday and let's look to a glorious future. So